The new Dust2 is here, currently in the beta build for CSGO. It has had a vivid visual overhaul, sporting 4 times the texture resolution. That's a lot of pixels. I'll be showing graphical comparisons between the old and new throughout this video, but let's see what else has changed. All of the important cover we know and love has remained almost identical, but those messy corners that always felt like afterthoughts have been opened up and simplified. The wall leading from CT spawn to B, for example, had this dumpster fire of a corner over on long A, which has been opened up and tidied. The car here now serves as decent full body cover for anybody guarding long from this position. It also helps defend against short. I can see it becoming an important spot to hold. And outside of B tunnels looks very different, but probably won't change the gameplay too much since it's never been too important an area in the first place. The curved walls around mid have been replaced with far tidier cubby holes. Just be sure to check them as you run past. One of the ideas floating about the community for this remake was to open up the B tunnels to help set up grenade throws into the site. At first glance, it looks like they've done this, but it still acts as a solid ceiling, and the skybox around B tunnels is closed, so you won't be able to smoke the site from, say, T-ramp. However, they have changed the entrance to the site. It looks narrower, but it isn't, merely taller, which will let attackers set up more grenade throws before assaulting the site. So this is a good change. I predicted that a reason for this remake could have been to open up the skybox more, since updates to the older map did this around the A area. This clearly hasn't been the case around B, but Valve have paid close attention to the heights of the buildings. You'll notice lower walls around areas of conflict. This is by design. Want to stop a long A rush? Bounce a flash off this bit here. Stuck in Goose? Simply lob a flash over this wall here before admiring the beautiful new Goose graffiti. And so on. Oddly enough, they've made long doors taller and have blocked up my favourite grenade setting up area. So at a glance you might think they're trying to stop you from smoking from T-spawn to long. But you can still do it. Particularly from this corner, which was never really used too much before. I reckon this tree has been strategically placed to provide players with something to line up grenade throws to. It's a stroke of genius. It's big, its pointy bits are memorable, and it doesn't block grenades. It's perfect for this use. Wooden posts appear to serve some kind of gameplay purpose this time. This one at long nicely bounces grenades around the corner. I guess that's the point of it, otherwise why else would Valve add an obstruction like this to the middle of a battle zone? While we're on the topic of long, rumour has it that the timings have changed for the best spawns. I tested it and couldn't see any difference. Bear in mind that while terrorist spawns are picked at random from all of the available positions, the 5 CT spawn points appear the same every round for competitive. So in casual, CTs may spawn closer still, but that was the same as it used to be as well. Moving on, the doors are back to wood again, but are super thick and won't deal much damage, even with an AK, so it's not as though they've returned to how they used to be. Spamming the same area makes it slowly turn purple. This happens on all wooden models in CSGO because the texture around the bullet hole isn't quite fully transparent, and once you have lots of bullet holes in the same area, this not quite transparent area becomes even less transparent, resulting in a blotchy purple mess. Just thought I'd ruin the game by telling you this. I got a few jumps blocked by an overly aggressive clipping block here on short, but overall the clipping is very good. All first stairs have been smoothed off. I particularly like how they've added dozens of stairs to places, even though they still behave exactly like ramps. But sadly, they haven't learned their lesson with the spiral staircase and tunnels. You'll still feel like you're amidst an earthquake while running up and down these. It seems the technology to smooth these staircases just isn't there yet. I also love the new pointless areas leading off from the main map. You can't get to them, and they serve no gameplay purpose, but I stare through them and wonder where they might lead to. Of course, the answer is nowhere and everything quickly becomes invisible, but it helps ground this map in a place, rather than just a series of corridors waiting to house a massacre. Please can we also spare a moment to mourn the loss of the tiled floor. What has been a staple part of the map since 2004, and still one of my favourite examples of pixel shading, has now been replaced with a boring, sandy floor. Suits the name of the map more, I guess. Not that these surfaces are bad. Across the map we see beautiful application of blend textures. Similarly to how snow is sprinkled on surfaces in Skyrim, sand is dusted over the underlying paving stones in a convincing manner, rather than just simply fading between the two materials. This helps remove repetition and will now be available for us to use in our own maps. They've also added subtle 3D models to make some of these cobbles stick out above the rest. Which brings me onto a bug. These models don't show bullet decals, so they're easy to find, shoot the ground texture and the bullet holes appear, but shoot these models and they won't. While we're on the topic of bugs, as lovely as these new impact sounds are, they play inconsistently. Shoot a car and you get a lovely metallic dink, but barrels don't make a sound. Looking down from the boost spot to short shows a hole in the skybox. The displacements at long don't match up either, also revealing the skybox between the seams. And looking over on Reddit right now, there are all kinds of other game-breaking bugs in this new map that I don't think I would have found in a million years myself. Here's hoping that Valve pays attention to all of these before the map moves out of beta. Oh, and there's no sun, Valve please fix. Also, the leak crew have been given a newer, older, beardier, shinier and more colourful appearance. They certainly retain the character of the older models, and shoot straight to the top of my best models list in CSGO. So, all in all, this map is still dust2 in all the ways that matter. But you may find yourself somewhat disappointed. Besides, dust2's problem was never the messy corners or the graphics, but rather that it had been played to death. Something that a visual overhaul won't fix. For those of you who are still bored of dust2, Valve ends their blog post with something you might find interesting. After getting feedback on the visual upgrade, what would you like to see next as the map continues its evolution? We want to hear from you. So, maybe they plan on updating the gameplay later on. Perhaps this is only dust2, Episode 1, Part 1 after all. On top of this, Jess Cliff over at Valve broke his year's silence on Reddit to respond to people in dust2 posts. No doubt excited to finally share his work with the community. Valve isn't known for directly communicating with us, but I urge you to post to Reddit with bugs and suggestions, as I'm sure they keep an eye out for it. I mean, don't contact Valve employees directly, because that's just annoying for them. But let's hope the visual overhaul of dust2 is just the start of an ongoing project between us and Valve that will hopefully result in a better map for all of us.